is Nicola Reekie.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm Nicola Reekie, and I'm the founder of the PDA Space, and today I'm going to be talking about why connection and collaboration are crucial for our autistic PDA young people. Before I go any further, right, I'm not nervous at all. I just went, oh no, I've left my favourite squidgy ball. So you'll see me moving, pulling my blue tack. If I can do this as my reasonable adjustment, then so can our children. Before I go into too much about what is PDA, before I talk about my talk today, I'm going to just give a snippet of what PDA has been like in our home. We've got the fabulous PDA Society upstairs. We've got our stand, because actually my talk is more about how we can work together. I'm really passionate about changing our parenting structure. What's the word? Rhythm, that instead of punitive punishment, we step away from those. So I'm not sure which bit if I keep it on this bit. So, and they're giving me a bit of something, so, good luck. You might end up with just the same slide. So I just want to share my experience. So I am a neurodivergent person, autistic, ADHD, diagnosed in my 20s with dyslexia and dyspraxia. And I have two young people who one's got a PDA diagnosis and one has, similar to me, lots of other diagnoses. So we've got a really good neurodivergent family. I also know from personal experience the value of honesty and transparency when working with our young people. And that can be with professionals, with just family members, everybody. And it's really important when we're supporting a demand avoidant child that we are all really honest and transparent. You are likely to have got, if you're a family member in here today, have you tried the normal ways? Getting your child to brush their teeth, get dressed, eat their food, and to do things. In my experience, I feel traumatised when I've not been heard. If that's by family members, professionals, whoever that might be. And I think if I had £1 for every time I've had these messages given to me that I'm about to say, I wouldn't be standing here because I'll be a millionairess and I'll be setting up an awesome place. You need to be tougher. You need to be firmer. Just make your kids. Why can't you make them do that? So instead, I'm there to support and walk the path with you as family members. If you've got young children, older, or you identify. And walk along this path with you and guiding you to a different parenting style and understanding. I personally very strongly feel, and when someone said this to me 7 years ago, I laughed. I'd really see my boys as a gift. And I'm really grateful. And I really am grateful that I see them as equals and not force them to fit in. It's taken time. And one of my favourite mottos is progression, not perfection. I don't get it right. And I'm waiting for my little one, because he's not in school, to come in and go, no, she does. But what I have learned, the more I collaborate with my kids, amazing things can happen. They don't always. However, I'm less likely to feel that I'm walking on those eggshells. I'm less likely to meet with emotional behaviour explosions. And I'm less likely to have an emotional explosion. Your child and you become clearer and more energised. We're able to move away, and I would really, any professionals in the room, step away from this blame. Move away from the blame and distressed, and just feel heard and understood is what my biggest thing within the PDA space is. And that's why I created the PDA Space Summit and then the PDA Space Portal, a membership to give ongoing support to families. Our members who start and come in feeling exhausted, close to burnout, conflicted, have nowhere to turn or don't feel they've got anywhere to turn. They join the community and feel that they're with like-minded who understand and feel that they belong, which I personally feel is vital. The benefit of running the portal, I feel, is you get to meet professionals that get it, understand it, with lived experience, either the lived experience as a PDA or as a neurodivergent. And it feels so much more supporting. And with their ethos and their values and approaches, you can feel more heard and supported. Anyway, that is, why the PDA space is here. Let's see if I can do this without. So, I'm really grateful to Autistic Minds. I feel really honoured because this is the third time I've been asked to speak. And as I've just said, a little bit about the PDA space. I don't normally explain why, but the reason, my logo is a tree. I love trees. Anyone who follows me on my page, I often do lives or in my group in the woods. But why? Our roots go down deep. We get that support. We get that nourishment from many places. And the colours because of the neurodivergence. The key features of PDA, for anybody who's, I've had people come up. First of all, what does PDA stand for? Pathological demand avoidance. Personally, I prefer, and my boys have different views, pervasive drive for autonomy. And I'm not going to get into the debate around the names. However, the key features of PDA is resisting ordinary demands of life, often using social strategies as part of avoidance. Will appear sociable, but may lack some of the deeper understanding. Can appear obsessive. I really dislike that word, but that may resonate. Behaviours that often can be focused on things, football, people, etc. And you may notice extreme mood swings, impulsivity, Jekyll and Hyde behaviour, 1 minute, fine, and then an explosion. But actually, the longer we go along, there's a reason that 0 to 100, because actually there's a whole 50 billion black bags of stuff that nobody's known. And so now I'm going to go bang. So I want to just briefly, talk about my experience as a parent, family member. The resisting ordinary demands, it could be anything. It can be also stuff that he's really, really enjoyed doing. And often we talk about brushing teeth, eating, sleep. And one of the biggest has been, from one of my boys, when Game used to have the game cafes. He was desperate to meet a friend. But that overwhelm, that demand of going and doing was just too much. Using social strategies. There's been loads. Okay, from my arms don't work, I can't pick that and play it up, to I'm a dog. I can't, that's not what we do. The role play, and that can be in gaming, as in electronic gaming. That can be like, imagining they're an animal. There's so many different ranges. But as I say, both the PDA Society are upstairs and when I'm on stand 15 as well. So what I'm here to talk to you today about is connection and collaboration. And also for me, I talk a lot about energy beings. So my energy beings right now are high. Tomorrow I'll be minus 50. And the same for our young people, that, depending on where they're at and what they do, you may do something with them, an outing, or they go to school, and they may need a lot of recovery time. And what recovery time I needed last year after this event will be very different to the recovery time I need this year. And I hear that a lot. Well, last time he was fine, or she was fine, or they were fine. But this time they weren't. Well, guess what? We're different. There may be more in the emotional bank that I can't cope with. There may be more that I'm trying to figure out. So, you know, being mindful of that. I love the phone battery idea, but I love energy beams. I've spoken a tiny bit about the PDA profile. You know, it's still very much researched. And I really love more and more in the community talking about, as PDAs, that need to feel safe. And some of the traits, the high anxiety. And from that then, when our anxiety is high, that need of control, needing safety, resisting all demands, and social skills, as I've spoken about. And just really, very briefly, thinking about transitions. Now, you've all come here today, and those of you that are family members, those of you that are professionals, and that gorgeous little person in the back, I want you to take a moment, absolutely, to think about all the things you've had to do to get here. Like, you're all dressed, so you've all done that. You may have had a shower, you may not. You may have brushed your teeth, you may not. But I want you to literally run through your mind from the moment you got out of your bed. Well, I'm assuming you slept in the bed. You might not. You might have slept on the sofa. But I want you to go through everything you've done. Seriously. How many things have you done? Now imagine I came up to you and said, right, come on, get out of bed. Come on, get clothes on. Why haven't you done that yet? Come on, if you don't do it now, I'm taking your phone away. No, you're not having coffee because you haven't got out of bed. Come on, you're not in the shower. You're going to be late. Now, I'm saying this in a really joking manner, but actually I'd invite all of you, if you're a professional, you're a family member, just think about what I've said. Go home. I'm old school. I write. Get notes on your phone. Seriously, and write down from the moment you got up this morning to the moment you came in this room, and all of those. And imagine me going, right, have you done it on time? Why haven't you done that? Why haven't you brushed your teeth like that? Why have you brushed your hair like that? Why haven't you done it? How would you be? Would you be really happy and calm? I can tell you now, I don't do well being told, and I don't identify with PDA. So, just an invite. Transitions. I got stuck in the house for 5 minutes, and my colleague was like, I thought you'd be there. And I'm like, yeah, I just got... The transitions, I mean, I've had webinars on classing. Transitions are massive. Me from room to room, clothing, smells, but really starting to think about transitions. The transition you've had coming in here, then when you go upstairs, and then you go outside. The temperature in here is nicer than upstairs. Oh, that's my opinion. And I can only talk for myself. So plan ahead. I remember when we knew that my son was autistic and had a PDA profile, I took 3 months to plan to go to my cousin's wedding. The amount of energy we put in. And I found it really difficult when family members went, he did so well. Yeah, we've done loads of work to get there. And also the comments if he doesn't look autistic. But he was the one who found the missing earring from the bride when no other adults could find it. Now, we're all different, as I say. Some might like checklists. I'm not great, but I do big, info dumps of what needs to be done. But having those visual reminders, inviting your young person, how can I support you? Is it having, I'm not a techie person, which is funny because I've got an online business. But is it having Alexa set something? Is it inviting them? That's the connection, the collaboration. How would you like us to do this? When my son went to high school, he has a school bus. He missed it in the first week. And I knew he was going to miss it. And it was okay. And I didn't say anything. We drove and everything was fine. We actually, funnily enough, we had the same situation yesterday. And then I said, so how can I support you? He's like, oh, I'm going to set alarms. I'm going to do this. I mean, he's more timely than I am. Like, he's got times for the shower, knowing how long he can be in there for. I said yesterday, you cannot miss, if you miss your bus today, you're going to have to get a train. There's no way. But but that might work one day. It might not work tomorrow. Be flexible. There's a lot of discussion about low demand, low arousal, and I've got a webinar coming up on that. And it's, complete low demand is for, crisis point. But really, how important is it that they attend that school after school event? Yes, you paid for it. And I love, one of my speakers, Suzanne Isa, says something a lot. If you cannot afford for your child to go and do something after school, or it's a real squeeze, don't put them in for it. It's not their fault that when they are unable to attend, that you've spent 10, 15, 20, whatever you spent. You chose it. If you let someone, so just be mindful of, what is it you're expecting? How much? Our weekends are really minimal. We went away for a weekend, we took 2 cars. We really now, but it's taken time, taken a lot of time. And then most importantly, and this is for professionals as well as family members, we need to look after ourselves. That old adage, if anyone's been on an aeroplane, they say, put the oxygen mask on you. And you're like, naturally doesn't feel right. You want to do it for your little one. But you can't save someone if you're not breathing. Finding ways. I've got a free 7 days of wellbeing on my site. Really simple things. I'm not talking about days at spa. We wish. And if you're stressed by something, imagine you're a young person. If your young person has had a really challenging moment, they're letting you know. Right. So, connection. I've sort of touched on this already. But thinking about what their interests are. It's difficult because they won't be your, chances are they're not your interests. We've had football, we've had Minecraft. I struggle with the football. There's certain football players I've quite enjoyed their ethos and their political views, giving back to society. But Minecraft. And I've really had to ask lots of questions to understand it. But that connection means we connect. We can understand. I can then use that maybe to bridge the gap. It's a way into supporting them. It also really underpins their mutual respect and understanding, rather than me demanding respect because I'm parent or professional or educator or whatever hat you may have. It's mutual. I have huge respect for all of the guys here who helped put this event on, because I'm over time. But that doesn't always happen, does it? It happens through positive experiences. But just to remind, every negative experience, our autistic brains hold on to. So we're going to need more positive ones. So the hierarchical approach, we're all the same, we're equal. Yes, when there's perhaps some legalities, you need to be able to be black and white and say that is that. But they're not going to respect because the head teacher is the head teacher, or the judge is the judge, or the police is the police. That we're all equals and it's how we're treated. And our young people are really passionate, and adults. Unfortunately, there should be a bit of a gap. So, being able to give that undivided time, I've got to say I'm a nightmare that things pop up because of my ADHD and I'll go on my phone. But literally, I have to hide my phone, sit with them, be in their world. be with them for 5 to 10 minutes, undivided, or longer. But, you know, initially sometimes it is just minutes. They'll feel heard, they'll feel valued, respected. And then that rapport, that trust, that understanding is a massive. And I want you to take a moment, you know, if you're a family member, you've shared an experience. Like I said, you know, I know Mum, who did you at the wedding? And I'm like, have a moment when you've had that flipping comment said to you. How did it feel? How does it feel for your young person when you go, oh, what? As a professional, how many times have you gone to work and you've asked for a colleague and they go, oh, get over it? Doesn't feel very supportive. Doesn't make you go, oh, right, I'll go back to them tomorrow. Well, when they're having a tough day, well, and I'm going to go on to later on about a type of communication style that can really be supportive. But it's progression, not perfection. I don't get it right. Hear their voice. Collaborate. Have non-negotiables, whatever it might be. Whatever your family needs. But then collaborate. Like, how can we get you to school on time? Or, that's not necessarily a good one, but how can we get somewhere? How can we support you? Because when we're in a we're sharing. And we're not going, you need to do. Sorry, I'm looking at you a lot, so no. But, you know, it's much more empowering. They feel heard, supported. Okay, and they're more likely actually to come up with their solutions. And they'll come up with ones that you've never thought of. Well, maybe. Sorry, I shouldn't ever say. So, you know, looking at what do our young people need to be able to do things. Or us as adults. You know, starting identifying issues and looking and helping them find those solutions. So I've already mentioned sensory. You know, I really struggled last weekend. We had that lovely hot weather and then it rained. Now, we'll find that lots of our young people won't wear a coat. Fair play. The sensory of it. Oh, I haven't put my other top on because the sensory. So, you know, it's okay. You know, having lived consequences. Okay, guess what? You're going out last weekend in that lovely foreign mat. You're going to get wet. Okay. And very often as family members and as a parent, my biggest fear is what every other person, I was going to swear and I stopped myself, is going to go, how can she let her child go without a coat? Well, how can she? They haven't got shoes on. Well, guess what? Do you know what? Are they going to be sitting with you in your home for the rest of your life? Who's more important? But the non-negotiables are vital, and nobody can tell you what they are. They can work with you to help you find them, but I'd only suggest a handful in my life. Are you telling me 5 minutes? 6. But, you know, everybody's non-negotiables are individual. And they'll change. You cannot have a list and go, oh, there then. Changes to our parenting, to our family. You know, I'm talking a lot upstairs about the Summit Pack. There are some amazing speakers who talked about the nervous system. The more regulated we are, the more we're able to listen. Very quickly, fight, flight. You know, when I first came, I was obviously in a bit of fight, flying. I was like, oh, and now I'm a bit more regulated. So that means all of my brain is working. But when we're in fight or flight, we're not. Something happens, okay? There's that car crash and you're late for an interview or something. Your brain is off wire. Be mindful of our language. I remember spending hours laying there going, how can I reframe that? How do I rephrase that? There's some lovely words like curious. I'm wondering, how can we? Looking through the sensory lens. Our senses are just... What is a demand? Well, that I've done webinars on. And then changing lifestyles. So really looking at what suits your family. You know, I've covered looking at, you know, reducing demands, this whole reducing arousal, so it's calmer. I know lots of people have said here it's quite heightened, isn't it, with lots of people, noises, lights. Having that time to be, allowing time between, and I chose this one because this one looks peaceful. But it's not! I'm not going to go into this too much because I need to, but PACE is such an amazing communication style, and I've changed it. So Dr. Dan Hughes, playfulness, acceptance, compassion and empathy. So when somebody tells you a story, you know, and rather than either trying to dismiss or you don't know what, being playful around it, accepting, hearing them, having compassion. And when you're having a really naff day, what do you want from somebody? You don't want them telling you to get off your butt. Well, I don't anyway. That compassion, that empathy. I've had an ebook done on this, and it, you know, it's a really, really supportive way of communicating. The elephant in the room. You know, for our young people, there are certain things that are never spoken about. You know, I mean, it's scary that the PDA Society did some research. Over 70% of PDAs are not within the education system. How do we support them? How do they feel? How do we have those? And that's where PACE communication can really help. Having those difficult conversations. And if you come in, you know, because the What's next year's summit, please save the date. It's free for that weekend. Each day there is normally around 10 webinars that are available to watch for free that day. I'm upstairs. There's leaflets, the QR code, because I'm offering, I think, obviously, an amazing offer. I already run a membership where you get to speak to an amazing neurodivergent person 90% of the time. But for £7 more, you're going to get the access for 6 months to all of the webinars from this year's summit, which is around 5 or 6 that get dropped in. I use a website, Kajabi is quite known, as in for courses and memberships. I'm not expecting anyone to ever, I've never heard of it, but it's used to holding, you know, some people, and it means you can just watch webinars, stop, come, you know, listen to them, listen to them while you're cleaning, listen, and it's a nice way because you can share with others. I'm real big, and my biggest thing was when I first started to wanting to learn more, like there'd be a live event, couldn't make it. You got 7 days to watch it. Life's already hitting the proverbial. So that, giving people 90 days to have access. Or if you're like me, you hear something and then forget. So it just drops out of your head. Oh, I can watch that again. Oh, I want to share it with... I haven't got an Aunt Gladys, but I want to share it with Aunt Gladys. I want to share it with a professional. So that's me. I'm upstairs on stand 15. Yeah, I want to really say thank you to Autistic Minds for doing this. For all of you being here. I haven't got the answers. But, yeah, so thank you. Oh, and before everybody goes, I should have said, we've got a glossary for sale, or it comes if you sign up today. And it's about neuroaffirming, so understanding language, which is really important. It's, really backed by the autistic community, explaining acronyms, explaining what certain words mean, and the big thing about I'm not with autism, I am autistic. Your mom.